Welcome back to this follow-on tutorial for Blender cheat sheets. By now we're going to open up the N panel and we're going to go through the next section, which is world origin. Now, a couple of concepts that newbies have to get familiar with as they come into this understanding of world origin. The best way for me to show you this is I'm going to hide everything and I'm going to zoom in on this intersection point, but to make that a bit more clearer, let's show the Z-axis as well. And let's hide the 3D cursor. So, world origin. I'm not going to try to get too deep into this because this is going to spin some people. It spun me for quite a while. But basically the world origin, you've got to think of as kind of the still point, the singularity, God. Unless that origin, which is defined as 0, 0, 0 and is always defined as 0, 0, 0, unless that was defined, nothing inside of the rest of the scene would make sense. So let's give that a little bit of prominence. I'm going to create a UV sphere and I'm going to scale it down, and just for the sake of it, I'm going to give it the color red. So this little red dot represents the coordinate 0, 0, 0. Every other object in the scene is relative to that 0, 0, 0, including the camera that is looking at that point in space. Although you would think that the camera is 0, 0, 0, this is not what we use to define a coherent 3D scene. We have to offset the camera 0, 0, 0 to the world 0, 0, 0. Now I know that this is spinning some of you, but basically what I'm trying to get across to you is that unless the world was represented with a singular origin, with a single origin point at the coordinate 0, 0, 0, nothing else inside of the scene would stick. You got to think of this as the glue. You got to think of this as God. You got to think of this as the singularity, as the still point. Unless this existed, this entire 3D software would not be able to exist. So what are the functions that are relative to world origin? Let's go into this. This is going to be an incredibly short tutorial because there's not many. Surprisingly enough, it is the fewest number of functions. I'm going to open up world origin and oh shucks, there's only 2. So what are these 2 functions? Well, the first thing is I've got to re-show my 3D cursor, and I'm going to set my 3D cursor somewhere else. And this is again a repeat. You will find this under the 3D cursor section. And then I'm going to also show the cube, and I'm going to move this, select first, then move it somewhere else. Now, the first is pretty self-explanatory. You can't move the world origin to anywhere. You can make it look like that if you drag, hold on a second, if you drag your window. It looks like you're moving it, but technically that coordinate is always the same, 0, 0, 0. Doesn't matter what you do with the window, that coordinate is always 0, 0, 0. There's some very clever mathematical calculations to make that happen between this viewport that you are looking through and that world origin or global origin or scene origin. You can't move that specific origin away from itself. This is impossible. Your entire scene will break. So that means the core functionality relative to world origin or global origin or scene origin is that you can move things to it, not the other way around. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Reset 3D Cursor to World Origin, and I'll let you do it first, and then 3 seconds later I'll show you my answer. 3, 2, 1. Here I go. I'm going to now click Reset 3D Cursor to World Origin. That's pretty self-explanatory. It's going to snap the 3D cursor from wherever it might be back to the world origin, the global origin, the scene origin that is at 0, 0, 0. Now the next one, I'm going to move my cursor somewhere else, and I'm going to now click Move Selected to World Origin. Let's see what happens. Right now, in 3, 2, 1, what is going to happen when I click Move Selected to Origin or World Origin? Nothing happened. Why? It's because unless you select something, nothing's going to happen. I've got to select a box or a sphere or a model or something that I have created as an asset, and then if I click Move Selected to World Origin, then it'll move. Now I want to just show you this another way, because I want to go to Object Origin and turn Object Origins back on. And we're going to do exactly the same thing. So I'm going to select the object and I'm going to move Selected to World Origin. And what should happen is the object and its origin will snap accordingly, even if you happen to have offset the object origin to somewhere else. So to prove this, let's go here and set object origin, that little tiny orange dot of the object itself, to the 3D cursor, and then we're going to grab this and move this away. You see how the object origin stays in relation to that. So now if I go back up here to World Origin section and click Move Selected to World Origin, what should happen is the origin now snaps to the world origin. So be careful of that. If ever you want to reset this object, you've got to go to Object Geometry to Object Origin. Remember that when you are moving an object to somewhere, you can't move it relative to all of the points of that geometry. So you have to have one specific reference point that you are moving, and the best reference point to move that object to another place is relative to the object origin. So I know that is a bit of a mind spinner, but you're going to have to practice these things. Put in your 5-minute practice before your proper bona fide modeling session, and get the tools under your skin. Play with them. Don't work them yet. Don't infuriate yourself or drive yourself crazy. You need to learn to play Blender before you work Blender. Okay, so that is the end of an incredibly short tutorial. I hope that brings a little bit of reward for you. Please feel free to visit back for the next tutorial, where we will be going into a slightly more complex topic, which is object origin, which is not the same as object mode. I've separated these distinctly so that you've got a very clear language to understand the various principles, the motifs, the concepts, the ideas that make 3D modeling even a possibility. See you guys in the next one, and enjoy your 3D creation.